Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Hello and welcome to Mental Monday, Mental Health Live. I'm Jake Symons. For the next half an hour, we're going to be having a big friendly conversation about mental health. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is Mental Monday, although it is Friday, because this is a Mental Health Awareness Week special. It's 7 p.m. here in the UK, 11 a.m. Pacific, and it is time for us to talk about the end of Mental Health Awareness Week. That's what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be talking about some of the content produced and kind of what awareness means, how we can use awareness for the long term, and how awareness can actually turn into action, because ultimately this week's got to mean something, right? You can't just have an awareness week and then, come Monday we all just stop talking about it and then nothing happens. There has to be some kind of continuation, some kind of, legacy or kind of lasting change that is made from the week. And ultimately that's kind of some of the things that are already known in the mental health community, and some of what I've been talking about this week, because I've really wanted to use this platform of Mental Monday to actually talk about kind of the issues in the mental health community. So we've got a lot to cover today. So that was a very brief introduction there. I do appreciate that. There's not really any house rules other than to be nice and avoid triggering topics. If you are upset or worried about anything you see, or shall I say hear, throughout today, please ring the Samaritans on 116123 or Childline on 0800 11 11 if you are under 18. Without any further ado then, that is our intros out the way. If you are a regular fixture here for Mental Monday, you will know who I am by now, but you can reach me on Twitter at JakeSWrites, on Instagram at Jake_Symons, or in Twitch and YouTube chat, all of which I check through the show, and I've got all up in front of me now. So that's something that we are doing. I do want to talk about some of the developments here in the UK regarding COVID, as well as we normally talk on normal scheduled Mental Mondays about the news and about current events, and we've obviously been covering the pandemic and its effects on mental health specifically a lot, because that is affecting us all, and I do want to discuss that and some concerns around that, but to start with, I'm going to open off with our usual question, and that is, how has your day been? How's it been since 23 and a half hours ago when I last saw you? How have you been? Let me know in any chat is fine. I've been alright. I have actually revived some social accounts. My own. I have a couple of Twitter accounts and a Quora account, which I use for marketing. And they were kind of looking a little overgrown, not much happening, a bit unloved. So I've kind of been refreshing those up a bit, something I'm going to kind of continue into the weekend, just to get some regular content going, because it does need to be done, and putting it off is probably not the best option. So that's something that I've been working on a bit more. That's been fun. Again, interacting on Twitter. We had the Mental Health Minute today as well, but I'll get into kind of some of that during the actual roundup segment of Mental Health Awareness Week. So yeah, I've been alright. I'm looking forward to the weekend, so I'll probably ask you what you're doing this weekend. That's probably a better question, although not a lot, until at least the 17th, when we can finally do things or be inside more than we are in limited capacity, and all sorts of other rules that I'm not going to say because I probably will get them wrong. But yeah, we unfortunately do not appear to be live on YouTube right now, which is annoying. So let me just try and resolve that. I know it's kind of an impromptu break. It seems to have cut off suddenly. I'm not sure how to fix... here we go. For some reason I hover over it and it opens, but if I just load the page without hovering... Okay, well, YouTube's now back, so not to worry there. But it's great to, anyway, be here on YouTube. So hopefully you did hear the introduction. If someone in YouTube could let me know if the first, 5 minutes have come through, that would be brilliant. Thank you. So that's how I've been. I do want to get into the roundup post because I do want to give some shout outs where they are due. And this roundup post is going in the chat now, which I now should have been doing all this week, and I seem to have only worked out how to actually do this. This is the roundup post. This is got shout outs to everyone that I want to give particular shout out, but particularly I want to talk about the Mental Health Minute because that was today. Obviously, William and Kate doing that, Anne-Marie, David Beckham, among others, on there talking about mental health. And, you know, the importance of coming together, being united, and kind of being part of something and part of the ongoing mental health conversation. And I think it was really valuable. I always like listening to this. It's broadcast across all radio stations, so if you listen to radio while you're working or studying, you've probably picked it up. But it's about kind of coming together to understand that there are people with low mental health kind of among us, and they are, you know, people we see, people we interact with, and just being a bit mindful that even after Mental Health Awareness Week, there's still going to be people that have low mental health, either because they're going through a rough time or they have mental illness. And that is something that, you know, we need to talk about, and we need to be there for them if we're in a good place to ourselves. And I always put that caveat in because obviously your own mental health is important, and being there for others is always something you should do. But, you know, look after yourself as well. That's important, and I feel like that needs to be said because especially when I used to do kind of mental health advocacy and I was like really DMs open and messaging people left, right and centre, it is quite draining. I think I am a rather kind of, I have a very high tolerance level in terms of the kind of what I can actually take, but you know, you just got to be mindful and look after yourself as well. You know, if you don't, if you get kind of upset or triggered by things easily, then maybe, you know, just be aware of your current mental health. Don't worry or don't fear leaving a conversation to prioritise your own mental health, because that is your right to do. You can absolutely look after yourself, and you must, really, because, you know, you're not going to be able to help anyone or be there for anyone if you're not okay yourself. So sometimes you do have to focus on yourself, and you do have to take time to yourself. And that is absolutely not something you should feel guilty for in the slightest. And that needs to be said, especially for a lot of mental health advocates, including myself. I mean, this is what I need to say to myself. You know, you can be there for others, but be there for yourself too. So Mental Health Minute was really valuable and keeping the conversation going. And as I said in the introduction, mental health is something that is always with us. So we can't just stop talking about it because the week is over, or if you're in America right now, you've still got until the end of May for your Mental Health Awareness Month. But when that ends, you know, there's 11 months, 51 weeks. Mental health doesn't just go away. It's still something that we should talk about. It's still something we should embrace those conversations. The space to talk about mental health should not be a week. And this is one of the biggest things I've been talking about. And it's something that I fight for the most, kind of personally, in terms of normalising the mental health conversation, is actually having the space to talk about mental health all the time. So if you need to talk about mental health, if you need to express to say someone, or you need to vent, or you just need someone to listen to you, you know, your friends are there, there's people there. You don't have to worry about approaching the conversation or how to instigate it or how to go about it, because mental health conversations are stressful enough, right? You're saying stuff that's really personal to you, that's really kind of deep down and rooted within you, and these really dark and negative feelings on some occasions, and that is tough. That is tough to talk about, and it's tough to listen to. But actually, when you get over those kind of burdens, it's actually really alleviating and kind of rewarding to be able to get that out, and it just feels better to talk about it. And obviously, if you're in the journey of getting professional help, sometimes the first step of access is telling someone else to then give you encouragement, or say telling your partner so your partner can maybe help you get support or take you to the doctor if that's something that you wouldn't be able to do on your own, or a parent if you're watching this right now. And well, we're kind of all ages, but actually being there for people is something completely that you should be doing. And I just wanted to kind of put that out there, that the space should always be there. And, talking is how you access support, by speaking up about what you're going through. And it's all of our responsibility to make sure that people feel comfortable doing that. And, it's down to all of us to create that space where mental health is part of the normal conversation. And that's not to say talk about it all the time, because that doesn't help either. Because what you then do is you get into a situation where you're wrapping people up in cotton wool and you're basically saying, how are you, every 5 minutes, and asking if they're okay. And if people that are going through a difficult time, sometimes that's all right, because they kind of need that reassurance that you care about them. But, between your mates, that's probably not something that's needed either, especially if, I'm having a good day. I don't want to be always reminded that, oh, how is your mental health today? It's like, don't formalize it, and don't ask too much. I mean, do ask, absolutely ask. But don't ask every 5 minutes. I think that's the distinction I'm trying to make there. And try and kind of change the conversation, or walk on eggshells, or tiptoe around subjects, or, just kind of be like, are you alright with that? Are you alright with that? You alright with that? That kind of questioning as well, which I'm sure we've all experienced if we're out with mates and we've told them we're, having a period of low mental health. What the situation ideally for me is that I feel comfortable enough with someone, and I feel the space to talk about what I'm going through is there, that I can say, actually, you know what, I'm not okay with this. Can I just take a step back here? Or rather than having to be asked and prompted, I can speak up and I can use my own voice to do that. And I think that's really empowering, to actually be able to have your voice and to be able to say what you do want, what you don't want, rather than kind of needing that prompting. And that, for me, is all part of having the space to talk about mental health, and the space of acceptance, and the space of being listened to and not understood, because there are, mental health is complex, especially for some of the more complex mental illnesses. It is difficult. You're not going to be completely able to understand it, especially if someone's going through something that you could say haven't experienced or could never experience. And that's something that is a distinction. It's not about understanding. It's not about kind of fixing. It's about being there, listening, and being understanding that there may be different reactions to what normally would be expected, and people can't do, say, what your other friends can do, and, people may need more time to themselves, or, they may need a mental health day, or they may just not want to talk to you for a bit. And it's not understanding why they're doing that, or what's kind of going through their minds, why they feel like that, or the root of the problem at all. It's about just being understanding that is how they are, but they're still your mate, they're still part of your social group, and when they're feeling a bit better, they'll come back into that. And it's just being understanding of that, while at the same time acknowledging that you probably won't understand what they're going through. And I think that's a really important kind of separation of those two, because that just makes the conversation a lot easier when you take the pressure off and you say, this is a conversation that you don't have to feel like you need to be an expert in to be part of, or you don't have to be, say, a psychologist to be a part of. You can have these conversations with your mates while still not worrying that you don't have to go on nhs.uk, for example, and look up the condition and all the symptoms and all of that. You don't want, you're not a professional, you don't want to over kind of complicate or over invest in mental health when, if it's just something between mates, just keep it that way. Just be there, be present, listen, all that stuff. But keep it between mates, and I think that's really important. And I haven't actually used that idea of being understanding over actually understanding what's going on. So I'm going to steal that for an upcoming blog post, I think. I'm just going to make a note before I forget, because that is a good idea for a blog. There we go. So I did want to go on to talk about some of the other content creators I've mentioned. I've mentioned, say, Anxiety UK, the Mental Health Foundation, who obviously hosted this event. Scaff Mag, the Metro, BBC, Unwanted Life, Wellbeing Blog from Hannah, Samaritans, and a couple of other people. And they've just, people that are regulars, have written blogs, so they do one every year, and a couple of new faces as well, which is always good to include. Roundup's going to stay open for a couple of weeks, so if you do want to add something to that, you're more than welcome to just let me know in the comments under the post, links in the chat. And obviously links to all my content is there as well, which is 5 blogs, including the Roundup post plus a preview post for the week, and 5 live streams as well. So 2 hours of video and quite a few hundred words worth of content, probably about 4,000 maybe, not sure. But I've done 3 roundups now. This is my 3rd Mental Health Awareness Week, and it's always great to be part of, always great to get involved, and see everyone. So I just wanted to actually now take the time, because I am kind of coming out of the Mental Health Awareness Week segment, to thank everyone really for being part of Mental Health Awareness Week, because it's a brilliant event to be part of. And if you're a content creator and you're sharing your personal nature experience, awareness does matter. And I know we were talking a lot earlier about funding, and on previous days, because we've been live all this week, on funding and kind of how the mental health community are just really crying out for support of those with mental illness, not just support for mental wellness, and drawing that distinction and saying that it's very, very easy to tell people to get a pot plant or open a window, but it's a lot more harder to properly fund their mental health services. So again, things like that are worth talking about. And I just wanted to thank everyone really for using the platform and using their voice and speaking up and actually getting involved. And it's been a fantastic week. I really, really enjoyed it. I love reading what other people are saying. It's a good chance for me as a mental health advocate to see other mental health advocates, to actually see their stuff, because that helps me too. Because, us mental health advocates, we have low mental health too. That's why, a lot of us get into this, is because we've been through our own low experiences, and we want to share those and use those to help other people going through similar times. Because one thing I've found, and I'm going to say it again, is the level of empathy and the level of connection and friendship you can build with other members of the mental health community, having gone through low mental health yourself, is there's a level of understanding and a level of empathy there that I have only ever found in the mental health community. And they are the most lovely people that I know. And I keep saying this, but I am so grateful, I guess, to be a part of that, and to know people that have gone through similar experiences and are still going through rough times, and being able to talk to them and kind of, sharing that with them and get through the day to day. And it's really, really brilliant experience. And big shout out to you. I won't name any names here, but I think a few people watching this will know who they are and who I'm referring to by that. So that's it from the mental health side. Hopefully we do actually take some action, and we do go forth and do stuff, make sure that we are actually fighting for mental health, and you don't have to fight in terms of starting a blog or a YouTube channel or joining me on Mental Monday, but you do just have to be there for people. And if you see an opportunity to say volunteer or sign a petition or vote, as we've just had elections for local councils, then do that. You know, use those kind of things wisely to support mental health, and I think that's really important. Mental health is something that obviously affects 1 in 4 of us, but we all have a mental health. While 1 in 4 of us may experience a diagnosable mental illness, we all have a mental health, and we've all got to look after it, and we've all got to be there for each other for it. And I think that's the biggest message that I can say go forward, is to just focus on mental health a bit more, make it a bit more normal, make it a bit of a kind of regular occurrence in the conversation when you need it, when you're going through a rough time, when someone else is, to have that kind of conversation when it's needed. So not like prescribing a set number of conversations, but just having the space to talk openly about it. And I think that's really important. So that is it from me on Mental Health Awareness Week 2021. I'll probably mention some of it on our usual schedule, because all of the last 5 videos are not on usual schedule. So for our regular viewers that will be picking up the every 2 week schedule next Monday, which will be live again on Monday because that falls back into our every other week schedule, I'll probably do a quick overview. But that is it. That is it. That is the week over. But yeah, we must keep acting. I'm going to say it again because it needs to be said. It needs to be said that there has to be action. And you can't just have awareness. That doesn't mean anything. There has to be something after this week. And yeah. Alright. Time to talk about the news. And looking at news today, we obviously had the press conference from Chris Whitty and Boris, and not Sir Patrick Vallance, who wasn't there, despite the guy from Sky thinking he was. So there is an Indian variant, or a variant first found in India, should I say, that is of concern. The BBC are reporting it's up to 50% more transmissible, which is quite bad, considering the Kent variant and other variants are more transmissible and all of that kind of stuff. So how are you feeling, really? I'm kind of putting this out to you about reopening. I'm still waiting for my vaccine, which hopefully I have no idea when it will be. I'm 19, so I'm kind of bottom of the barrel on that, which is fair enough because I'm a fit and healthy 19-year-old and I shouldn't be prioritised for a vaccine when I'm, statistically least likely to be affected by it. So I absolutely do agree that I should wait for my vaccine, and I'm happy to. But how are you feeling about it? Have you been vaccinated yet? If you're in the 38 plus, I think they're doing now. So if you're 38 plus, have you been vaccinated? How did it go? Just kind of your thoughts on that, really. I'm alright with that, I think. I'm happy to kind of go out, do things in regards to the restrictions, just maybe a bit more cautiously. Obviously, the Indian variant is quite worrying, and considering, it's just a bit worrying to have variants floating around. So, it is an anxiety, but I think we've got, or I've got so kind of in routine. And I've talked about my autism and routines before. I think I've got so into my kind of routine that I'm kind of happy to stick with it. So, if the kind of June full almost full restrictions off in June doesn't take place, I probably won't mind, because I've got into this routine and that's alright. It's just uncertainty. And again, during the kind of reopening and then the relocking down and the kind of Christmas time and then kind of into February that we were speaking about, kind of uncertainty. And I mean, obviously it's an uncertain time and there's not much anyone can do about that, but it is quite worrying. And that does kind of bring up my anxiety, but it's not on the forefront. You know, if I'm gonna kind of be real here, it's not a big anxiety. It's just kind of something that's there, and I guess if you have a lot of stuff that's there, that adds up. So I can quickly see that, you know, if I go through kind of another bout of bad anxiety, this kind of is an extra layer to that. But on its own, it's not really that much, and I can deal with it quite well. And again, that is obviously something that, you know, some people, especially if you've got worse kind of anxiety, for want of a better word, that actually means that you really need that certainty and that clarity and that routine, and you can't handle kind of new and different situations and kind of changing goalposts in that regard. So I can see why that would be a problem. But hopefully we'll get through it. Mental Monday will be live no matter what happens, and then beyond lockdown as well. We'll continue to be live every other Monday on our usual schedule. And yeah, we kind of started this Mental Monday a year ago, because we started Mental Monday, we restarted Mental Monday for Mental Health Awareness Week last year, which was obviously during lockdown because it was in May. And we're now a year on and still in lockdown-ish and still doing Mental Mondays and still here for Mental Health Awareness Week. It's just, I was looking back at some of my old content and I looked quite young and I spoke quite annoyingly, and I can appreciate that, which is, yeah. But it's been great. It's been a great kind of time to be with people. Obviously, COVID's been horrendous, but in terms of being with people and being part of the community and doing these, it's been quite fun. I've really enjoyed the last year kind of covering this and being with everyone. So here's to another year. And here's to continuing to talk about Mental Monday, mental health rather, and actually kind of sharing that with everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. I've really enjoyed today. I know it's kind of a short stream, but again, it is Friday, and this is the last stream, so I think that's warranted. But if there is anything else you want to put in the chat, don't feel like you have to go now. We can still talk for a little bit if anyone wants to say anything. Other than that, this has been Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health. I've been Jake Symons, and I will see you all for the normal episode. If you do want to come to that, I should probably do an advert. Okay, advert time. This is an advert for normal Mental Monday. If you're watching this as a Mental Health Awareness Week viewer and not as a regular Mental Monday subscriber. Mental Monday is every 2 weeks, Monday, 7 PM UK time, same time you're watching this right now. And it's about what happens in the news, how we've all been, what the chat's guided by, and any other thoughts or stuff in the mental health community that's kind of drawn my attention over the last 2 weeks. So it's kind of a news-ish style in terms of the freshness of content, but also we kind of cover old topics, recurring topics, evergreen topics, things like recovery, self-care, and, you know, just how to look after yourself during times of COVID. I'd love for you to join me. I would love for some of our Mental Health Awareness Week viewers to come and join Mental Monday and be kind of regular fixtures in the chat. That would be brilliant. So every other Monday at 7 PM. And the next live event we're going to do special is Christmas, because we do 2 special live events. One is Christmas, one is Mental Health Awareness Week. And that is brilliant to be part of. So thank you so much for coming and being a part of Mental Monday. And, you know, sharing some time on your Monday for a year with me, if you're a regular subscriber. This has now been a year that we have been live doing this. Thank you for sharing in that with me. And I will see you all on Monday for another episode of Mental Health, Mental Monday, Mental Health Live. You know, after a year I should know what it's called by now, shouldn't I? Really. But for another episode of Mental Monday, Mental Health Live, the big friendly conversation about mental health for its full old title, which we've now changed. It's great to be part of that, and I've really enjoyed being here. So until next time, have a great weekend, and I'll see you on